Saugus High School Class of 1918 just completed their 4 years of education. The essays and poems written by several students found in their yearbook gives the reader a glimpse into their hearts and minds at the time. Their words were full of love and respect for their God and their country. This was a time in America when people walked everywhere or took a streetcar. Many lived in 3-generation homes, mainly because Social Security didn't exist for the elderly and infirm. Families were large in number. Manufacturing workers averaged 55 hours a week, and according to the census, the average income for a male was $800 per year, and a majority of the breadwinners were farmers. Only 8% of the country had telephones. Very few owned refrigerators, and almost no one owned a radio. The 47 graduates of Saugus High School represented 6% of America's population that received that goal. Yet, at the time they received their diplomas, dark clouds loomed over their country as President Woodrow Wilson declared war on April 6, 1917, against Germany after that country repeatedly attacked armed and unarmed vessels traveling to Britain, resulting in American casualties. World War I, also known as the War to End All Wars, inspired senior Alice Elizabeth Phillips to write her salutatory essay, America at War. She wrote that when war was declared, America was not prepared. There were no guns, foodstuffs, great fleets, or trained men for the Army or Navy. Germany, on the other hand, had millions of men trained from boyhood. Interestingly, once we declared war, she went on, Americans united. Army camps were built. Men thronged to enlist. And after only a short period of training, the soldiers were sent to do service in France. The naval service was enlarged. More ships were being built, and now there were 269,000 men in the Navy. America's entrance into the war changed manufacturing. Factories once shut down reopened and government work began. Guns were made by the thousands. Shoes and clothing were made for the servicemen. Our government took control of all railroad freight and passenger lines. Americans were learning the true value of the words thrift, sacrifice, and patriotism. Alice explained that the draft was created in 1917 for all men between 21 and 31, and all classes, rich or poor, registered for the service of our country. In summing up her essay, Alice wrote, "The spirit of these men was high. They left their homes without hesitation, and selfishness could not be found anywhere, as the honor of their country was at stake." Although America's involvement in World War I was only from 1917 to 1918, over 100,000 Americans lost their lives. Approximately 400 were women, who were not even allowed to vote at this time in history. This was the world that these young Saugus graduates were about to enter.
When World War I broke out throughout Europe, on July 28, 1914, 47 high school graduates were entering their freshman year, and many of the students were first-generation Americans. While they were settling into their new school that was built in 1906, the United States was keeping a watchful eye on the events happening across the sea. With every unprovoked attack on our country, tension grew, and Americans could no longer be still. Our graduates had now just ended their junior year. Once war was declared, many Americans at home took up the fight as well. The enlistment office was overrun with volunteers. Several Saugus classmates left school and joined the service, shipping off to France, and even a few female teachers resigned to join the newly organized Red Cross. Students at every grade level bought war bonds, graciously accepted food rationing to provide for the soldiers over there and went without many commonplace items, all for the war effort. It could be said that almost every American went to war in one way or another. One student, Winslow Hodgson, left school in his junior year to join the Army. He was wounded in France on May 16, 1918, and died on June 16, 1918, just 11 days before he would have graduated with his class. He was 18 years old and was the first World War I soldier from Saugus to be killed in action. At Saugus High School, life went on as best it could, but not without sacrifices. Coal, used in the war effort, was now at such a premium that the school had to shut down for several weeks during the wintry months of December and January, as the now limited school budget for heat was exhausted. The Saugus High School baseball team suffered another loss, as the use of Stagpole Field, which was used for many years, was denied by the owners for some unknown reason in the 17-18 season. The coach was able to transfer the practices and games to a baseball field in West Roxbury, 19 miles away, but how they were able to make that trip is unknown. A group of sports fans lobbied the town to purchase property for a baseball field, but it was wartime, and the request was put on hold. While the ongoing war was uppermost in the minds of the students, a few exciting events happened. On June 6, 1918, just 2 weeks before graduation, the first delivery of mail by air was flown from New York to Atwood Field, Saugus, Massachusetts, at 3:31 in the afternoon, with 4,040 pieces of letters. The landing of the airship was disastrous, as the nose of the airplane burrowed into a soft ash heap, and the mail had to be transported to Boston by auto machine. In 1918, the Red Sox made it into the World Series for the third time. The first game was played against Chicago Cubs on September 5, 1918 at Comiskey Park, Chicago, Illinois. During the seventh inning stretch, the United States Navy Band began to play the Star-Spangled Banner. Red Sox infielder Fred Thomas, who was in the Navy and had been granted furlough to play in the World Series, immediately turned toward the American flag and gave it a military salute, according to the Chicago Tribune newspaper. Other players turned to the flag with hands over hearts, and the already standing crowd began to sing. At the song's conclusion, the previously quiet fans erupted into a thunderous applause. The New York Times reported that it marked the highest point of the day's enthusiasm. The Sox went on to win the game 1-0 with Ruth pitching a no-hitter, and they all went on to win the World Series. The population in Saugus in 1918 was a little over 10,000, and the town was made up mostly of farmlands. Route 1, the main artery at the time, was a single-lane dirt road, north on one side and south on the other. In spite of it all, 47 happy and hopeful seniors were preparing to graduate from Saugus High School. Many of the young men patronized the barbershop on Central Street, just steps away from the school. The 1918 Saugus High School yearbook, which consisted of several typewritten pages pinned together, included several essays, a class will, class gifts, and excerpts offering a peek of what was running through the hearts and minds of students. Their words were full of humor, friendship, and the joyful hopes and dreams, along with patriotism, respect, and love of their country. Once the yearbook was completed, invitations were sent out to family members and friends. The class motto for the Saugus High School Class of 1918 is, "Success is based on honor."
For the honor of the flag. The solemn hush of twilight fell upon the city street, and the rainbow-tinted sunset made the harmony complete, when from out the hazy distance, faintly falling on the ear, came the sound of tramping footsteps as a line of men drew near. People hastened to their doorways as the soldiers passed along, some with anxious, longing faces, some with words of cheer and song. From one humble cottage doorway came a form subdued and sad, peering, straining, gazing, breathless, eager to behold her lad.
Yes, he's there, she murmured, as her stalwart manly son, with a smile of recognition, passed to duties well begun. Mother's son, yes, mother's son, blessings on your pathway spread, crown your work with golden triumph, and love's halo round you shed. Mother's sons, yes, all of them, such sacrifice they've made. They have heard the call of duty, they have listened and obeyed. But our work is still unfinished, and our duty left undone. We should rally round our standard, 'tis a part for everyone.
'Tis the duty of our soldiers, each and every loyal lad, to defend our dear free country from conditions harsh and sad. They can do their part, that only we should strive to do our share, help to further God's own movement with a silent, fervent prayer. Hear the cry of over the ocean, hear the prayer from over there. They are every one our brothers. Let us show them that we care. Let us aid them in their suffering, help them, the sore distressed. We are all of us God's children, and by God, we are greatly blessed. Yes, we're blessed. We're blessed with freedom, blessed with peace and riches too. Let us use these blessings wisely. They are worthy deeds to do. Give our time, yes, give it gladly. Give our talents, great or small. Give our lives, if duty asks it. Freely sacrifice them all.
For the glory of the present ripens in a future day, but to us 'twill bring no honor if we've joined not in the fray. While old glory floats above us, with its stars and stripes in view, we are filled with adoration for the red, the white, the blue.
When the cruel war is over and our heroes home return, when from lands across the waters come the forms for which we yearn, may our hearts condemn us never for the part we failed to do, but my conscience softly whispers, you were loyal, brave, and true. Then arouse, the time is passing, halt not in the present hour. Gird yourself for noble action, consecrate your every power. Launch into the untried future with a faith that will not lag, with a purpose firm, unserving, for the honor of our flag.
Rise, O classmates, to your calling, which you all have had in view, and complete each earnest effort with a zeal that's staunch and true. Life holds lessons to master, and we're safe from all disaster, for the teachings of our high school still will guide us on our way. Now our school days are ended, and the future opens wide. May we ne'er forget our high school, as we down life's stream shall glide. For the lessons we have learned here will assist us all to gain the success in our own life, which we surely shall attain. May we strive to accomplish the tasks which are before us, and remember our motto, all success is honor-based.
The Spirit of America as Represented in Literature by Edna Trigg. As this present-day war is the uppermost topic in our minds, I think we should know for what our country is fighting. Our country is not fighting for the possession of any land, but for the upholding of her principles, justice, peace, and liberty. This spirit of America is represented in her literature from the beginning. Our liberty began with the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. Thomas Jefferson wrote into that,
"We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That, to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed."
This declaration of the fact that every man has an equal right with every other man to his own life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness has served as an ideal to inspire some of the best things in our literature. The greatest orators of that time spoke mainly on justice and freedom, both national and domestic. In 1775, Patrick Henry, speaking before a Virginian convention of delegates, says,
"Why stand we here idle? What is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have? If life so dear or peace so sweet as it to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery, forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death."
James Otis trembled with great feeling as he spoke upon the custom house officers entering the homes to search for smuggled goods.
Now, one of the most essential branches of English liberty is the freedom of one's house. A man's house is his castle, and whilst he is quiet, he is as well regarded as a prince in his castle. This writ, if it should be declared legal, would totally annihilate this privilege. Custom house officers may enter in our houses when they please, and we are commanded to permit their entry. Their menial servants may enter, may break locks, bars, and everything in their way, and whether they break through malice or revenge, no man, no court can inquire.
After Samuel Adams had signed the Declaration of Independence, he spoke to the Pennsylvanians like a Puritan of old.
"We have explored the temple of royalty and found that the idol we have bowed down to has eyes which see not, ears which hear not our prayers, and a heart like the nether millstone. We have this day restored the sovereign, to whom alone men ought to be obedient. He reigns in heaven with a propitious eye. Behold his subjects assuming that the freedom of thought and dignity of self-direction which he bestowed on them."
George Washington, in his farewell address, expresses the same idea, but in a different form.
"The unity of government which constitutes you one people is also now dear to you. It is justly so, for it is a main pillar in the edifice of your real independence, the support of your tranquility at home and your peace abroad, and of your safety of your prosperity of the very liberty which you so highly prize."
And later, in the same address,
"In this sense, it is that your union ought to be considered a main prop of your liberty, and that the love of one ought to endear to you the preservation of the other."
the committee appointed to draw up the Constitution of the United States drew up the preamble, the cause of establishing the Constitution, reading thus:
"We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America."
In speaking of the Union of the States, Ben Franklin said,
"We must all hang together, or we will all hang separately."
America's sympathies went out to Greece in her struggles for independence against the Turks. Fitzgreen Halleck wrote an elegy, Marco Bozzaris, on the death of a Grecian leader killed in 1823. In celebrating the heroic death, he chose a subject that was naturally fitted to appeal to all whose liberties are threatened. Here are a few lines of the poem.
"Strike till the last armed foe expires. Strike for your altars and your fires. Strike for the green graves of your sires, God and your native land."
The literature of the period following that was expressive of the abolition of slavery. William Lloyd Garrison and Wendell Phillips were two of the earliest men to advocate for the abolition of slavery. Garrison influenced Whittier to use the best years of his life to furthering the cause of abolition. Harriet Beecher Stowe did more for the country by writing Uncle Tom's Cabin than she ever expected. It was said that the effects of her book were felt all over the world. Daniel Webster's conclusion to his reply to Hayne brought him as an invisible presence in many homes in the North.
When my eyes shall be turned to behold, for the last time, the sun in heaven, may I not see him shining on the broken and dishonored fragments of a once glorious union, on states dissevered, discordant, belligerent, on a land rift with civil feuds, or drenched, it may be, in fraternal blood. Let their last feeble and lingering glance rather behold the gorgeous ensign of the Republic, now known and honored throughout the earth, still full high advanced, its arms and trophies streaming in their original luster, not a stripe erased or polluted, not a single star obscured.
President Abraham Lincoln, in his second inaugural address, said,
While the inaugural address was being delivered from this place, devoted altogether to saving the Union without war, insurgent agents were in the city seeking to destroy it without war, seeking to dissolve the Union and divide the effects by negotiation. Both parties deprecated war, but one of them would make war rather than let the nation survive, and the other would accept war rather than let it perish. And the war came.
The result of all of this was the Emancipation Proclamation for the abolition of slavery. It was drawn up by Lincoln, and it shows again that America stands for justice.
And upon this act sincerely believed to be an act of justice warranted by the Constitution upon military necessity, I invoke the considerate judgment of mankind and the gracious favor of Almighty God.
Lincoln's Gettysburg Address is familiar to all, commemorating those men who died for liberty and freedom. The beginning refers to the Declaration of Independence, the birth of the nation.
77 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. We are then entrusted with the task of seeing that the new government shall not perish from the earth. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they here gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that the nation shall, under God, have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth.
Then, too, we have a number of poets who have commemorated the patriotism and heroic deeds of our countrymen in verse. In Captain, My Captain, Walt Whitman commemorated the death of Lincoln.
O Captain, my Captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every rack, the prize we sought is won. The port is near, the bells I hear, the people all exulting, while follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. But oh heart, 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 oh the bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies, fallen cold and dead. Oh Captain, my Captain, rise up and hear the bells. Rise up, for you the flag is flung, for you the bugle trills, for you bouquets and ribboned wreaths, for you the shores are crowding, for you they call, the swaying mass, their eager faces turning. Here, Captain, dear father, this arm beneath your head, it is some dream that on the deck you've fallen cold and dead. My captain does not answer, his lips are pale and still. My father does not feel my arm, he has no pulse nor will. The ship is anchored safe and sound, its voyage closed and done. From fearful trip the victor ship comes in with object won. Exalt, O shores, and ring, O bells, but I with mournful tread walk the deck my captain lies, fallen cold and dead.
Oliver Wendell Holmes was the means of saving the frigate Constitution because of her loyal service when he wrote Old Ironsides.
Tear her tattered ensign down. Long has it waved on high, and many an eye has danced to see that banner in the sky. Beneath it rung the battle shout, and burst the cannon's roar. The meteor of the ocean air shall sweep the clouds no more. Her deck once red with heroes' blood, where knelt the vanquished foe, when winds were hurrying o'er the flood, and waves were white below. No more shall feel the victor's tread, or know the conquered knee. The harpies of the shore shall pluck the eagle of the sea. Oh, better that her shattered bulk should sink beneath the wave. Her thunders shook the mighty deep, and there should be her grave. Nail to the mast her holy flag, set every threadbare sail, and give her to the God of storms, the lightning and the gale.
Then again, John Greenleaf Whittier brings out the plucky courage of a woman who defies the enemy to shoot down her flag in Barbara Frecce.
Shoot, if you must, this old gray head, but spare your country's flag,
she said. A shade of sadness, a blush of shame, over the face of the leader came. The nobler nature within him stirred to life at that woman's deed and word.
Who touches a hair of yon gray head dies like a dog,
he said. The chief thought now is that America stands for truth, justice, peace, and liberty, just as it did in the past days. We are hoping for an end to this worldwide war for peace. Theodore Roosevelt said,
"The true end of every great and free people should be self-respecting peace, and this nation most earnestly desires sincere and cordial friendship with all others."
This peace we cannot have unless we protect our rights, as it is now necessary to do. President Woodrow Wilson has said that the world will never fear America unless it feels that it is now engaged in some enterprise which is inconsistent with the rights of humanity, and that America will come into the full light of the day when all shall know that she puts human rights above all other rights, and that her flag is the flag not only of America, but of humanity. And I think that the words of our president in an address given at Independence Hall on July 4th, 1914, expresses the spirit of America better than anything else when he said,
"I do not know that there will ever be a Declaration of Independence and of grievances for mankind, but I believe that if any such document is ever drawn, it will be drawn in the spirit of the American Declaration of Independence, and that America has lifted high the light which shall shine unto all generations and guide the feet of mankind to the goal of justice, liberty, and peace."
This must ever be the aim of all true Americans. For if we must pledge and give our time and money, our lives if necessary, for it may be that by our sacrifice, the ideals of America may be established worldwide for the generation yet unborn. Let every one of us, then, so act that we may be called worthy to be citizens of the noblest and best of countries, our own America the free. Presented by Edna Trigg, Class of 1918, Saugus High School.
My name is Roger Atherton. I was born on November 17, 1901 in Saugus, Massachusetts on 53 Lincoln Avenue. My father, Horace H. Atherton, Jr., prepared the history of Saugus for the centenary celebration held on July 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 1915. My mother's name is Edith Elizabeth Hall, and both of my parents were born in Canada. In the class will, we, William Goldberg and Harry Lipson, leave our bright-colored neckties to William London, Charles Burnham, and William Johnson, hoping they will strive to brighten the corners as we have done. Class gifts. A is for Atherton. I give you this tie, in hopes its bright color may catch a girl's eye.
My name is Madeline Gaylor. I was born in Saugus, Massachusetts, 1902, at 49 Essex Street to Earl and May V. Gaylor. My father is a bank clerk. I am the oldest child of 4 siblings: Burl, Earl Jr., Leland C., Bernice, and Melba. In the class will, I, Madeline Gaylor, leave my fondness for bringing stray kittens into the school to any person who is willing to suffer the consequences. For my class gift, G is for Gaylor. This fork, full of tune, will assist you along on your trip to the moon.
I was born on September 14th, 1900, in Arlington, Massachusetts. Class will, we, Charles Burwell and Chester Pingree, the long and short of the class, leave our respective seats to Hall Hogden and Rhea Craig. Class gifts. B is for Burwell. This small cake of yeast will sure make you rise, even after a feast.
I was born in New Hampshire in 1900. Frank E. Sanborn was my father, and Maud my mother. Both parents were born in New Hampshire. Class will, I, Mildred Harriet Sanborn, leave my winning ways to Christine Mitchell. Class gifts, S is for Sanborn. This little canoe will while away many an evening for you.
My name is Edna Trigg. I was born in England in 1902. My family emigrated to America in 1905, and I was 3 years old at the time. My father's name is George, and my mother Mary. In the class will, we, Helen Holmes, Hilda Johnson, and me, leave our quietness to Claudia Ruby, Margaret Neal, and Helen Thompson. Class gifts. T is for Trigg. In order to hear that wee small voice, hold this megaphone very near.
My name is Alice Holmes, and I was born in 1900 in Deerfield, New Hampshire. My father, John Holmes, was born in England and was naturalized in 1890. My mother's name is Alice Lovejoy Holmes, who was born in New Hampshire. Our family lives at 75 Main Street, and my father owns a florist business. I have 2 sisters, Grace and Mabel, and a brother, Edwin Holmes. In the class will, I leave my quietness to Claudia Ruby, Margaret Neal, and Helen Thompson. For the class gift, I, Alice Holmes, give you this tie. If you don't know the reason, just ask Goldberg why.
Hello, my name is Marion Louise Elmer. I was born on December 4th, 1901 at 7 Tuttle Street, Saugus, Massachusetts. My father, Charles, is a draftsman, and mother, Florence May, is a homemaker. In the class will, I leave my love for chicken to Albert Trotvetter. As a class gift, I leave E for Elmer. This coop I have bought to keep your chicken when him you have caught. In the class yearbook, I wrote a poem entitled For the Honor of the Flag.
I was born on May 10th, 1901, at 36 Elvira Street, Lynn, Massachusetts. We moved to Central Street, Saugus, several years later. My father, William F. McLaren, was born in British Columbia and is employed as a druggist. My mother, Minnie P. Burton McLaren, is at home. Class will. I, along with Alice Phillips, leave our beaming smiles for the opposite sex to Beatrice Biffin and Ulla Bly. Class gift. M is for McLaren. This telephone wire will bring you all your news, and your neighbors won't tire.
I was born in 1902 on Webb Place, Saugus, Massachusetts. My father's name is Thomas. He was born in England and works as a winder at the electric works. My mother's name is Isabella. I have 2 brothers, Thomas and Alfred, and 2 sisters, Isabella and Ethel. My father died when I was 7, and we had to move to 28 Beach Street in Saugus. I wrote the salutatory, America at War. For my class gift to the juniors, I, being the child of our class, leave you my rattle to help the time pass.
My name is Frederick C. Nelson. I was born on June 11, 1901 on Spencer Avenue in Saugus, Massachusetts. Both of my parents, Edward and Frida, were born in Sweden. I have one little sister, Mabel T. In my class will, I, Frederick Nelson, leave my bashfulness to Madeline Littlefield. In my class gift, N is for Nelson. 'Tis a ribbon you lack to hold that top knot and make it stay back.
My name is Charles Carmine DeFranzo. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts on November 7th, 1900. My father's name is Peter and my mother's name is Mary. Both of my parents were born in Italy. We moved to Saugus several years later and live at 10 Bristol Street. In my class, I will leave my strong desire to start an argument to Dorian Cairns. D is for DeFranzo. To blow off your gas. This balloon I now give you. Class meetings will now pass.
This is Marion Graves. I was born June 29, 1901 at 18 First Street, Saugus, Massachusetts. I am 17 years old. My father's name is Herbert W. Graves, and my mother's name is Hattie Ethel Nurse Graves. This is my class will. I, Marion Graves, leave my reputation about the school building to Marshall Sightman.
I was born in 1902 in Worcester, Massachusetts. My parents, Max and Jenny, were born in Russia and spoke Yiddish. They came to America in 1892 and naturalized in 1896. I have one sister, Pearl, and 3 brothers, John, Benedict, and Aaron. I wrote the essay for the valedictory entitled The Value of a High School Education. In my class will, I leave my Latin translation to Sidney Hastings. My gift to the junior class is this nice little shark that will give you a comrade to go on a lark.
I was born at 11 Essex Street, Saugus, Massachusetts, on November 17, 1902. I am 16 years old. My father, Franklin, is a furniture mover. My mother, Leela, is a homemaker. Both parents were born in Maine. I have 5 siblings, Maud, Roger, Walter, Louise, and Edgar. My grandfather, Thomas, lives with us, and also Miss Ida Murphy, a servant. In my class will, I leave my position as office stenographer to Lillian Martin. M is for Merithu, and this useful book tells us how to get rid of your bashfulness look.
I was born at 25 Lover's Leap Avenue, Lynn, Massachusetts, on March 2nd, 1898. I am 20 years old. My father is Martin, who was born in Maine. He works as a stenographer, and my mom, Hattie Chase Kimball, is a clerk at a medical patent office. I have no siblings. We all live with my grandmother. In my class will I, along with Ernest Rogers, leave our honored seats in room 7 to the 2 best behaved boys in the class of 1919. K is for Kimball. Since Day must come back, I couldn't let you afternoon session lack.
Hello, my name is Herbert Norris Babb. I am 17 years old. I was born on September 30th, 1901 in Lynn, Massachusetts. Both my parents were born in Maine. Horace Burton is my dad, and Bessie Genevieve Adams Babb is my mother. I have a brother Maynard who is 15 years old, and we all live at 20 Oak Hill Road in Saugus. My class gift, B is for Babb. This dynamite stick, if used to advantage, may make you move quick. In my class will, I leave my liveliness to Thelma White.
My name is John Titus Lynch. My father, John T. Lynch, was born in the Irish Free State. My mother, Catherine, was born in Northern Ireland. They came to America in 1899. I was born in Saugus, and we live at 4 Curtis Street. In the class will, I leave my art of decorating school property to Shirley Klukas and Milton Shorey. My class gift, always tardy is he. These excuses will save you from any a plea.
My name is Walter Sampson, and I live at 29 Overley Avenue. I was born on May 7th, 1902, and I am 16 years old. My father Thomas and my mother Ida were both born in Finland. I have 3 brothers, Frederick, Paul, and Edward, and 1 sister Ida. In the class will, I leave my fondness for the opposite sex to Kenneth Robinson. S is for Sampson. Jokes compounded in class, if written in notebook, are easier to pass.
In closing, the class of 1918 issued some parting shots. We give and bequeath to the class of 1919 our seats in room 8, provided they can obtain and live up to a reputation as good as ours and can hold down the seats as well as we have done. We leave to the class of 1920 all of our scraps of paper, of which there is a surplus, since the note-writing law went into effect trusting the aforesaid law will not be enforced during the coming year. We, the members of the chemistry class, leave to the incoming class a can of Dutch cleanser, hoping they will make good use of it. To the junior high, we leave our brilliancy and best wishes for the future. The juniors we love since they're all full of pep, and we must give them whatever they'd choose. They must have something still into which they may step, so we donate them gladly our shoes. On behalf of our class, we nominate our principal and teacher, Charles L. Smith, to be the executor of this, our last will and testament. Signed, sealed, declared, and published by the said class of 1918 in the presence of each other and subscribing our names as witnesses hereto.